back. You're watching the Urban Debate with me, Afrida Rahman Ali. The second focus on the program today is on the new booklet released by the Lok Sabha, an exhaustive list of words that have been termed unparliamentary, which means that they cannot be used by parliamentarians on the floor of the House. So what are these words? The list is long. Some of them are common words like ashamed, abuse, betray, corrupt, untrue, covered, criminal. These words are under the list of unparliamentary now. Some other words such as Jumla GV, Bal Buddhi, Snoop Gate or Behri Sarkar also prohibited. The opposition has lashed out at this new rule book, calling it a gag order. And now I want to quote some of the reactions that have come in, sharp reactions coming from top leaders of the opposition. Take the instance of Derek O'Brien of the TMC, Member of Parliament of the TMC, who says gag order issued on MPs, not allowed to use basic words. In fact, he dares, his colleagues and says, we'll use all these words, suspend me if you like. I am fighting for democracy. So that is Derek O'Brien. Then you have Jaiveer Shegil of the Congress Party, who says BJP government's desperate attempt to control criticism and hard-hitting truth. They want to turn the parliament into a yes-men chamber and cheerleading stadium. Parliament must be a house of accountability and answerability. So strong words coming from Jaiveer Shegil of the Congress. Mahua Maitra, again of the Trinamool Congress Party, MP of the TMC, says the new list does not include Sanghi. The government taken all words used by opposition. The words describing how BJP is destroying India are being banned. Abhishek Manu Singhvi of the Congress Party also reacted, saying, what is the point of parliament if you cannot be creative in your criticism? Jumla GV ko Jumla GV nahi bolenge to kya bolenge? So these are the reactions, and AIMIM chief Asaduddin Owaisi also reacting to it, saying context is important in what you speak in parliament. You cannot just term words unparliamentary. So soon after this issue flared up, Lok Sabha Speaker came out to say that the words are not banned. Instead, they are expunged, a process which has been going on since 1959. So before I open the floor for discussion, let's listen in to the important voices that have spoken on this matter.
अनएथिकल या ऐसा कुछ डेरोगेटरी स्पीच नहीं है. तो जो वर्ड्स अभी बीजेपी का खिलाफ एप्लीकेबल है, वही सारे जो वर्ड्स है ये भाजपा डर से उनका ऊपर लगाम लगाना चाहता है.
वो जो एग्जिस्टिंग अब हमारे पास किताब है शब्दों का, कैसा प्रयोग करना, क्या करना, उसको छोड़ के अगर ये करना चाहते हैं तो ये ठीक नहीं है. हम उठाएंगे, बार बार बोलते रहेंगे, वो बार बार निकालते रहेंगे, देखेंगे.
I think this gag order, this list, revised list of unparliamentary words itself is an act of that must be termed unparliamentary. It appears that the government of India is at some level fearful of the truth. They don't want to face the truth.
जब से भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार केंद्र में आई है, ज्यादातर भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेताओं की भाषा शैली खराब हुई है. मैं तो कहूंगा पार्लियामेंट के अंदर ही क्यों, पार्लियामेंट के बाहर भी ऐसी असंसदीय भाषा पे रोक लगनी चाहिए.
ये जो गला घोंटने की लोकतंत्र की आप पूरा जो देख रहे हैं, ये गुजरात में यही मोदी जी जब चीफ मिनिस्टर थे, मैं लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन था, हम वहां के बिल्कुल विटनेस रहे हैं. इसी तरह से लोकतंत्र का गला घोंटा जाता था.
ये स्पष्ट मैं फिर करना चाहता हूं, किसी भी शब्दों को बैन नहीं किया गया है. जिन शब्दों को उस समय कार्रवाई के अंदर एक्सपंज किया गया है, चाहे लोकसभा हो, चाहे राज्यसभा हो, चाहे राज्य की विधानसभा हो, उसका संकलन जारी किया है.
Let me introduce the panel this evening. Anuja Kapur, spokesperson of the BJP. Dr Syed Naseer Hussain, Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha. Smita Gupta, senior journalist. Thanks very much for joining us. Very good evening. Let me begin with Anuja Kapur. You heard all the sharp reactions, some very interesting ones, very quirky way of putting it as well. Your first thoughts on, the kind of reactions you've heard from the opposition. It is primarily, largely everyone echoing the sentiment that this is a gag order on the opposition.
Phase, if the oppositions are speaking, which is against the ruling party, and they're talking about it, it is okay. But I don't understand, how does a ruling party can anyway connect with the Lok Sabha speaker because it is a constitutional post. And I do not know why they are trying to put it on Bhajpa. So, but the opposition is playing its role, and what it should do the best, it is doing. Secondly, I would say that Om Birla ji very categorically has said that this is nothing to do with the Bhajpa or with the ruling party. It is connected with the impungement where if any words it is for Bhajpa also, it is for the ruling party also. Parliament does not only contain BJP, does it? No. So everybody has to refrain themselves. You know that, Hina, youth is watching. And I have been to many parliamentary debates also in colleges. You know, youth is watching. We should be refraining ourselves. It is a lesson for all of us if we are speaking. And moreover, nobody said that we are banning the words. Nobody said that.
How can you have, these very common words, ashamed, corrupt, even sexual harassment, I saw in the list, cannot be used. So, I mean, wouldn't it restrict you tremendously as a member of parliament if you have to speak on the floor of the House? Firstly, how do you even remember such a long list? Every second person would have a slip, with this kind of a list, because I cannot imagine, I mean, if I do not have a vocabulary of a synonym for all these words, and I suspect that the parliamentarians will, Anuja Kapur.
Bikul, I'm totally agreeing with you, Hinaji. We all are.
This is Afrida. This is Afrida.
Yes, yeah, bilkul. This is your democratic right, and this is your freedom. And nobody said, Om Birla ji, did he say that the context would be, it is if the thing is out of the context, if it does not come into the context, and if it is derogatory and it is defamatory and it is somewhere which the decorum is being is hindered, that word will be expunged. They're not saying you use, don't word, you use, let the nation see. Nobody, and you know that you all have an immunity, the Lok Sabha speakers in Rajasthan, the parliament has people who, whatever speak, they have an immunity towards it, then no actions can be taken. It's just this that, it doesn't look good, it does not come in a good taste when all over the world, how it is now, India is, they respect India. And if in parliament you see people are throwing books, if the people are harming the property, and if they're speaking something ill, the things are, I am not saying that you are, as they have said categorically that the gala ghod diya. Nobody's doing that. Everybody has a right. Please go ahead. You think whatever you are speaking is right. Let the Lok speaker, like the Om Birla ji, the constitution itself, let them decide on this because they are at the post. If they feel it is derogatory, does not come into those areas, and it is out of the context, they will expunged it. Whoever it is, and it should be done.
Okay, let us have the others respond to this. Dr. Naseer Hussain, in your recent tweet, you are saying something to the effect of, instead of banning so many words, just put a tape on us and stick a tape on our mouths, and that is how it should be. Why do you say that?
See, I would just like to remind the BJP spokesperson and the people, those who are viewing here, all these words were used by the BJP speakers in the parliament and on television channels when they were in opposition against the government. Now, most of these words are being used by the opposition against the government and largely against Mr. Modi. And most of these words have somehow got synonymous with the actions and the performance and the governance of Mr. Modi and Bharatiya Janata Party in the country. So the moment they feel that something is being attached to them, continuously, if some members of parliament or opposition members are speaking in the parliament, and these words are getting attached to Mr. Modi or to the BJP government, they feel it is better to ban these words. Let the opposition try and find some new words, or let the opposition find no words to explain the performance and the performance or the misgovernance of the government. So this is another way of suppressing the democratic voices of the people, suppressing and not allowing the people to speak. Neither anyway, they are not allowing them to speak outside the parliament. There are so many cases against you journalists also of just reporting what it is. Now even the parliament members cannot speak in the parliament. Now somebody said that they are not banning the words, they are only expunging it. Expunging and banning are most of the same, more or less the same thing. You can speak, but then that will not go into the records. But then how will you explain the misdeeds, the misgovernments, the failures, and all kinds of lies that are being spread by the government? You tell me who coined this word Andolan Jeevi? It was the Prime Minister. New Jersey cow, 100 crore ki girlfriend.
No, but Dr. Naseer Hussain, may I remind you that, the Speaker also, of course, said this is part of procedure, and I've just got my research team give this information to me that in Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan assemblies as well, there is, expansion of words like, I believe, Unpad and Anargal is not allowed, is in the prohibited list. So it's like we are reacting to it. Are we overreacting? Because this is a set procedure. Certain words, like Anuja Kapur says, in the wisdom of the Speaker of the Assembly, even in the states that the Congress party rules, are going with a list of words that cannot be used. So where does the gag order come in then?
The Speaker of the Lok Sabha is supposed to behave and function in an impartial way, as the spokesperson of the BJP says, and he shouldn't be. She shouldn't be seen as a person of the Bharatiya Janata Party. But it is unfortunate. See, these actions, these gag orders, this releasing of...
You didn't answer my question on why assemblies of Congress-ruled states also have such a list.
This is only to help the government. This is only to help the government.
Okay. Okay, let's have a neutral voice as well. Yes, Ms. Smita, if you can, weigh in in this debate. What is the whole idea of having this list, prohibited list? They are not banned, but they can be expunged. What does it mean? How is an MP going to recall this entire list of prohibited words and even utter 2 sentences?
Let me just begin firstly by saying that parliaments in democracies around the world, whether it is the British Parliament, whether it's the Australian Parliament or the Indian Parliament, they are confrontational. They are, you see a lot of action on the floor, a lot of words are used. And yes, it is true that it is the speaker's duty to see that nothing defamatory is said. But beyond that word, beyond defaming somebody, which is different from using what these people are, this kind of list of words that they have given, nobody can hold the government accountable. The job of the opposition is to hold the government accountable. And if they cannot use words that have been prohibited on this list, it is going to be ridiculous. And as far as somebody from the ruling party perhaps said that, words, they are not really prohibited, they will only be expunged. So let me tell you, I have covered Parliament from 1986 till 2017 on a regular basis. Words have been expunged by successive speakers. However, the tendency to, expunge to so many words that sometimes certain parts of the debate bear no resemblance to what we heard from the press gallery, for instance. It makes nonsense. The records are historical documents. So therefore, if you suddenly have a whole bunch of X's or whatever, you don't even know why, what happened over there. And that is, it's not just for archivists, it's for the future of this country. We have to know what happened in Parliament. And 2 other points that I wish to make. It is for a parliamentarian to be so thin-skinned. It's like a boxer who enters a boxing ring and says that, no, I mustn't, my opponent must not hurt me. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. Then don't become an MP, don't be a parliamentarian if you can't take the heat. And as far as one of the words that I noticed on this list was nikamma. Now, one of the most decent BJP MPs, for whom I have the highest respect, Mr. L.K. Advani, used that word for Dr. Manmohan Singh during a no-confidence vote, I think it was. Did Dr. Manmohan Singh for it to be expunged? Did people shout and yell? No. Dr. Manmohan Singh addressed that word nikamma. He gave it back to Mr. Advani in one of Dr. Manmohan Singh's finest speeches. So that is how you need to answer your opponents, not by taking this easy route.
The argument is, Smita Gupta, that you need to maintain decorum and decency. That's the argument.
You need to maintain. No. That we are not talking about. I am not saying that you should be throwing paper darts at each other or you should be bringing in acid. Those things are complete no-nos. But if somebody enters the well of the house and shouts a few slogans, that's okay. You know, that is what Parliament is about. Please go and see what Parliament, the Australian Parliament is like. Go and see what the British Parliament is like. But yes, and for that you have the Speaker.
So, Anuja Kapur, who exactly are you trying to protect and from what? I know you will say that this is the Speaker's decision. It's a constitutional authority. The BJP has nothing to do with it. But if you pay attention to the words, many of them are used to target the BJP, and therefore you have these strong reactions coming in. And answer Smita Gupta, who says, why be so thin-skinned? Why not take it with a bit of a sense of humor sometimes?
Yes, exactly. This is what I'm also questioning. Why so thin-skinned? Why can't you take it? And it is again and again pointing again at the BJP. Again, I don't understand. Do you think only Congress is going to be there or the other opposition parties?
No, but then some of these words are not derogatory or defamatory.
So BJP are also being
How is incompetent a derogatory word? You know, some of these words are in regular parlance. We use it every day. There's nothing, explicit or, disrespectful about them even.
Hinaji, if they will use these words...
This is Afrida. I think you're mistaking me for my colleague Hina. This is Afrida.
Okay, Afrida. I'm so sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
So this is how it is, So sometimes when we are speaking in a context and things come up, even if, the colleague of yours or the people on the other, parliamentarian says that this is being used for targeting me or something, there will be a committee. That is what also been said, that it can be taken out and there can be a committee about it. But by saying this, was it in 1954, BJP was in any way speaking any kind of derogatory words? But this started from 1954. As we just have heard, that one of your journalists is sitting here and she spoke that she's been covering. So it means she knows the whole of the panel. She knows how things have been happening. How come now, when there is a Bhajpa Sarkar, you're pointing things and fingers? So it means that those kind of words will not be used by the Bhajpa people also, don't you think? How come it is one-sided? It is not. So even we are being refrained from speaking those words. If you say that we spoke it, maybe that is
Doesn't it curtail your freedom of speech, Anuja Kapur? And some members of the opposition are saying all the adjectives that have been used to describe the performance of the Modi Sarkar are all in the list. That is what is being said. That all of these words, and so basically the question is that, on what basis, on what ground? And I don't see any commonality. At least some of them they do sound a little harsh, but many of them are totally harmless words which we use even if we say someone is incompetent. I don't understand how that can become an unparliamentary word.
Let this thing come up in a debate in monsoon. And as some people have said that they are going to speak, let's see what happens now. Because this is just a debate which you and all are talking about it. Now, we will see this. If somebody says something, as they have said that whoever is going to speak, if they want to suspend us, suspend. Now, let us see. If they want to speak, let them speak. Let the nation see, and let the speaker, let the Lok Sabha speaker take the action or whatever action in such a way that they want to expedite it or what they want to do it. If the stuff is outside the context, what did you speak before and after, that will also come up.
No, lie, mislead, untrue, all of this are in the list. And obviously when an opposition leader is speaking, and if you are questioning the government, some of these words are, I would say, you can't do without using these words. And
That's exactly.
Dr. Naseer Hussain, go ahead. You wanted to come in.
See, that's exactly. See, when you speak in the parliament, you speak certain things in a context. You try to describe the performance of the government or the performance of particular scheme in a context. If you remove that word, if you expunge that word, as Smita says, then the whole context and the whole meaning of the speech will not be there at all. Because
okay, this is
every
important.
time when somebody stands up to speak, they have their own vocabulary. They have a set of words which the people has been using for ages. Corruption is something that has been used in Indian parliamentary system and even in other democracies. I don't know from when. So how can you remove the word corrupt?
On the part of getting expunged, Smita Gupta, I want clarity on this. Are we saying that after a particular speech is made, a statement is made in Parliament, after you expunge these words which is in the prohibited list, then none of that speech would make sense, none of that address would make sense to anyone?
That's exactly.
And moreover, 1 minute, the press is banned from then using any of that expunged. Even if I, sitting in the gallery, saw the whole thing, heard it, took the notes. If the note comes from the speaker saying following words have been expunged, I, as a reporter, cannot use those words. You understand? And I just want to add one thing. The BJP keeps talks about 70 years of Congress rule. I think the problem for the BJP really is 70 years of BJP and before that Jansangh being in the opposition. They are so used to attacking that they cannot face being attacked. That is the problem. They in their 70 years, I've been sitting and reading up old parliament debates, the kind of attacks that were made through the 50s and 60s and 70s, they were fine. They were made on the ruling party. Now, when they have to sit, the problem with the BJP is it's really mentally a party of the opposition. It feels it can attack, but no one can attack it. And that is why, and I think the danger is not this silly list of words, because it is really up to the speaker to expunge or not. But I can tell you from 2014 onwards, the number of words and speeches that have, from which words have been and portions have been expunged has increased greatly. And that is not a healthy sign for democracy, for our future, for our history. That is the point. This list, is immaterial, really.
Yes, ultimately, this is a democracy. Freedom of speech is one of our fundamental rights. And if this is, if the intent is actually not to allow the message to go out by expunging the words of the parliamentarians, long list of words there, then it is unfortunate. I take your points, Anuja Kapur, Dr. Syed Naseer Hussain and Smita Gupta. Thanks for joining us. Well, that's it for now. News and updates continue on the other side of this quick break. Do stay with Urban Debate.